This week on the Unamplified podcast.
Hello, Africa. Welcome to the very first episode of the Unamplified podcast. I'm Cynthia Mbamalu, the host, and I have an amazing team of co-hosts.
Hi everyone, I'm Chi and I am the cool one. Welcome to the Unamplified podcast.
Hello guys, I am Queen CY. I come with the vibes. Woo! Welcome to the Unamplified podcast.
And I bring the energy. You know how we do it, ladies. When you're on,
you're amplified.
Cheers to that.
Yes.
Wow. So, why this podcast? Why the Unamplified podcast?
Well, the Unamplified podcast is a place where we have diverse conversation on democracy and governance through a gender lens.
Yeah, I like the idea of diverse gender lens.
To me, the Unamplified podcast is a bridge between the emerging issues and the social views for the emerging issues. So we have critical issues that we need to discuss, issues regarding the women, issues about development, democracy in the African continent. So the Unamplified podcast, I feel, is the platform where we unbundle these issues and then we discuss them from a gender lens. And we are all ladies right here. So
yeah, I like the fact that we're all ladies. That's actually one of the things that I'm really excited about. And the fact that we're unbundling issues, the idea of the bridge, the fact we're talking about diverse. Because for me, the Unamplified podcast is about looking at what happens in our society, how it affects us as women, how it affects young people, the younger generation in the continent. But having just fun, sincere conversation, open conversations.
Yeah.
There is no censor here. And highlighting those issues that ordinarily are not in mainstream conversations on the beautiful platforms we have online, but making it fun, getting younger people's views into that. But most importantly, I'm hoping that at the end of it all, we can inspire some mindset change within the continent.
Yeah.
And we can make democracy and development talk fun, because it's all about, me, I like politics and elections. So if you leave me, I can talk about elections and politics, because elections get me excited.
I know, some generations like the Gen Zs, I don't know how, maybe they'll be feeling that, how will democracy, how will election?
Well, as a Gen Z myself, I'm excited to see how we can make democracy and development fun. And I'm really looking forward to that. So, like I said, I'm the cool one. And Queen CY is the one
always coming with the vibes.
Yeah.
All right, because I bring the energy, ladies. Another Nigerian made it to the Guinness Book of Records.
Yes!
And she's a lady, she's a woman. So
Hilda for the win.
Chi, you followed this girl's story like she was your sister. And she's a sister anyway. So,
in Christ.
What's up with that?
I'm so happy for Hilda. Guinness World Record officially declared her record in their Guinness Book of Records. I was so happy because I had sleepless nights following Hilda. Like, I was counting the seconds with her. Every time she was ill, every time she was tired, I was feeling the tiredness in my bones. I was just praying that she would beat that record. And I was so happy that she beat the record, extended it, and even had much more hours. So but unfortunately, well, not so bad, but after the Guinness World Record did their own calculation, they realized that there were some issues that they were not so okay with, so they shaved off 7 hours from her.
7 hours.
I can imagine, just imagine if she didn't even surpass the 86, and if maybe she stopped at 90, what would have happened? Thank God she went beyond 90.
I'm telling you, but I'm really inspired, because I think in that story of resilience, is a story of solidarity and community, because at least the videos I saw, Nigerians from different tribes, ethnic identities were cheering for Hilda, because we know this is one of our own. And that was one thing that inspired me, because I'm thinking this is kind of solidarity we need to move Nigeria forward, to move democracy, to achieve the kind of development we want. What else did you think from her story?
Togetherness.
Yeah, I like
Nigerians
that.
came together to support her. Like, it didn't even matter if you were Hausa, Igbo or Yoruba. Everybody was there cheering her on, and she's Akwa Ibom. So that's when you know that Nigerians can achieve anything they want to achieve. just have a clear mindset and you're going to do it?
From Hilda, I also learned the necessity of dedication. She didn't just wake up and decide to do this. She had years, like 5 years, planning the whole stuff, and she had 24 hours test run. Like, to me, that's someone covering all angles. Then she had a publicity team, a PR team, medical team on ground. Like, she didn't just wake up to do this. So she had people she had people on ground doing everything at every hour and every point of the day.
But you said something very important. The necessity of dedication is very important. And you know me now, I'll connect everything to our democracy, because at the end, guys, I know you want to laugh.
Yeah.
At the end, democracy is about the people, right?
Yeah.
We can't sit down and wait for our system to work if we don't engage it. But we also need to be dedicated to doing the job. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
So we start, we move, we learn, we improve upon that. And so, the elections, man, these elections this year, crazy. How many of us are still dealing with the hangover of the elections? You know how?
I've not recovered.
You've not recovered?
I've not recovered.
Why?
I don't think I'll recover for this whole year.
For this whole year?
I cannot recover.
Have you had a hangover before?
Of course I have. And
how did you do it?
Cold water.
Cold water.
Just keep drinking water and sleeping and waking up with hope that when you wake up, it will clear. How far? Yeah. Have you had a hangover?
Yeah.
I know you can't hold the alcohol.
I can't hold my alcohol.
So how did you deal with the hangover?
It just manifested in headache, so I just had to sleep it out. Like, I'm completely discombobulated.
English.
If that's even a real word, yeah. But like, I hate the effect of, how would I say this? Just the effect of knowing that something negatively incredible happened the previous night, or just it's horrible. But
well, I think I had one of my craziest hangovers in the university, but mine just made me slow. Like, I woke up the following morning and I was still slow. I was not sure of where I was my hearing. I remember then, some of us were church girls. I was supposed to go for a church cleaning. I got to the church, I took the rag, and I was like, am I cleaning or what? People were asking me, are you okay? I'm like, I was just so cool. And I told myself, no, this is not happening to me. I can't be lost like this in life. I can't do it without a purpose, right? But yeah, so, and I get for the elections, a lot of us reacted different ways, right? For me, at a point, I felt a bit heartbroken. It was like when you're dealing with a heartbreak, but I also feel it's a bit of hangover. And even on social media, because we're still in, like, the parties are still in court, so we still have a court case ongoing, and there's still conversations. Then we had an inauguration. So online, we've had several conversations around the elections. Let's start with the Gen Z in the house. So how are you guys dealing with the hangover from the elections? Are you recovering anytime soon?
So honestly, when you say recover, it seems like, to me, recovery means you've completely accepted the situation. You can't recover when you don't accept this situation. This is unacceptable. So there is no recovery. There is no recovery. I'm far from recovery.
You too?
I feel robbed.
You feel robbed?
You know when someone just take your thing and just run away and you cannot get the person, and you're still trying to, like, how will I get this person? That's how I feel.
Was it really robbery? Because I have different opinion of the elections. Obviously, we've had this argument.
We had high hopes.
Yeah, I guess for me it was the hope, because before the elections we had huge expectations, and the technology was one thing that got a lot of young people talking.
Yeah.
And then the candidates, right? But these elections were quite contentious, ladies. I mean, for the first time we had 3 running parties and candidates, major for the presidential office. We had a 4th almost runner. I'll call him one of the 4th runners. I don't know if that's incorrect, but anyways. But if you look at the way the votes went, for me, if I think about the elections, I guess it's not just about the result, it's about the process. And there were some things that worked in the process, but there were things that did not work. And that's where my heartbreak started with there was a lot of investment in the elections for things to work out well. We had a new Electoral Act, and we're hoping that process-wise we'd get it right. Logistics wouldn't be a challenge, because several things like early release of funds for the Electoral Commission. So there are things that we felt if this happened, if this was in place, the process would work. But if we look at the way it went on elections day, we already know that a lot of polls opened late. We had the general issue of late commencement of polls. We had issues of some people who went to vote who couldn't vote.
Me.
You.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
They couldn't. The beavers couldn't read my PVC.
You couldn't read your PVC. Oh.
And this
could not accredit me.
Couldn't accredit you.
This could have been the first time, your first time voting.
Yes.
What about you?
I couldn't vote because of work.
Because of work. Well, I think for me, so I tell you people I like to be balanced. The beavers
first, did you vote?
The beavers. Okay, so because that's order the next advocacy, election day workers should have the opportunity to vote, because you can only vote where you registered, and I was an observer, so I was not close to where I registered. But honestly, at one point when I felt I was closer to the location, I ran to my polling unit. But they had finished, and they finished voting quite early, because I thought because there was my location is in somewhere in Use. I ran quickly and I noticed that they had finished, so I couldn't ask, because when we got to there, we realized, okay, let me quickly dash in. But I guess the next conversation, honestly, for Nigeria, we need to start thinking about reviewing our laws so that election day workers can get to, so observers, officials of the commission, security, media. A lot of media practitioners don't get to, because they send it to different locations to report.
Even the NYSC
and they call members, the ad hoc staff, and you can think about a number of ad hoc staffs deployed. We had over 170,000 polling units, and you have an average of 3 officials per polling unit. So if you say, let's just multiply 3 times 170,000, that's a large number of people who don't get to vote. And I do believe that Nigeria is ripe for early voting. And so the elections, yes, process-wise, there were issues. But I think the beavers did work to accredit voters. But I know one thing everybody was talking about was IREV.
Yeah. Because that was like the end product. No matter how much the beavers worked, how do we judge the
results,
potency of the beavers if we are not seeing the results on the IREV in real time?
IREV, now beavers accredit one part, then it's used to upload the results on the other part. So can we say one part it worked, but the second part
worked, but the most important part
is uploading.
Uploading is very important.
That's the most important. The uploading is the most important part of the election.
Okay.
Because the figures will not match up. Some polling units were able to upload and some could not upload, and it didn't balance.
Okay, so the non-uploading as at when due raised a lot of questions.
Yes.
I agree with, because there was a commitment from the Electoral Commission. Exactly. And for me, for our democracy to truly get to where it needs to get to, our state institutions have to live true to their commitment. Live through and live true. So through now the TH1.
Yeah.
I'm an Igbo girl now, my Igbo accent, but I wanted to rhyme, as the one that brings the energy. Live through to your commitment, but live true to your commitment. Nice. Because when you commit to the people, you build an expectation, you give hope. And when you fail, it breaches that trust. And that's why I felt the Electoral Commission failed at that point of sustaining the trust that the commission had, because we know there was a lot of energy before the elections. The other part for me is also respecting the views of your people. So when people were calling out, it took the commission forever to even issue a statement.
Did they even?
But till date, there was a statement that came out on Sunday morning or so, just talking about technical glitch. But I also feel that we still need the Electoral Commission to address Nigerians on what really happened, explain. Rather than focusing on the legality of was it mandatory or not. Not focusing on that, because this was one important provision that people fought for to be in the Electoral Act, the power for the Electoral Commission to electronically transmit results. Even though there are variations to this conversation, but I still feel that because you talked about it, you inspired confidence in the portal, the result portal, there should be that commitment to address the people and explain what happened. But just showing that this. I think for me, it's just I've heard you and I will speak to you.
Yeah.
I think that is still very missing. But I don't want to focus so much on this. Because we'll still talk about this election. Election talk will not end.
It will not.
But I think for me, what was most significant? Was there any significant story from the elections? I have mine. I'll save mine for the last. Any significant story from the elections?
Story. Give us
You're
yours.
thinking.
Give us yours.
Mine. I feel that one significant thing for me was the fact that, because I'm not talking about just the presidential, I'm talking about the elections generally. They were unlikely candidates that won into the National Assembly.
True.
That no one even knew of,
Yeah.
and they won.
Yeah.
But the other thing is how the parties shared the states. Because
Equally, actually.
yeah, yes, each the All Progressive Congress, the People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party,
Yeah.
and even the New Nigeria People's Party. So they all had 12 states. Labour Party had majority of votes in 12 states. PDP had majority of votes in 12 states. APC had majority of votes in 12 states. The only state, we have 36 plus 1 FCT, was Kano, which NNPP took. So I feel like,
interesting.
Yeah, if you look at the map, this is like one of the most colorful maps we've had, which is why I feel like people still turned out, even though they said the numbers, our data showed the turnout was low. But I think it's interesting to see that parties could push and can share the states in a way. You can't totally say one party controlled all the states. Yeah. That for me is another thing. So beyond just the unlikely people that won, but come on, you were in the pre-elections phase. There were some important stories. You were working with young people a lot now.
So I think personally, the interesting stories I have for this election was the things I noticed were how willing young people were to contribute to the process, especially pre-election stage. I mean, we ran different campaigns and different projects, and young people were really pivotal in the whole process. We had the Power of a Team, we had the 60% of us project, lots of projects, and there were young people who were contributing even their own personal funds to make sure that the elections were proper. And then the interesting one I had was, so we are doing this Elections 101 series on Channels TV, and we had one of our community members, a young person from one of the northern states, and he took it upon himself to translate majority of the videos from the series, just so that he can play it. So he would have like a form of a village square, and then he would play the translated video for his people, just so that they will learn how to vote, the process, especially the process of voting, which was very, very important. And I think young people's dedication to this election was really,
I think dedication is your favorite word at this point.
I think young people really showed a different side of them.
But I think most young people, this election was the first election that they really came out to
for the
vote.
first time voters.
And again, the way they like followed the whole trend of election on social media, the way they pushed the election and their candidates on social media was really, really interesting for me.
I guess that this one of the positive stories was the role of young people. And I beg, at this point, should we cheers to young people tonight? I think we should. I beg. Celebrating young Nigerians. Cheers. We should, because at this point, really maybe not just even young people in Africa, we are trying, because the system doesn't really give you a lot to hope for, but we still push beyond the odds, right? And I'm just wondering, the way if we are emotional this election, even me, I was emotional. You would think I was running for office.
I took it so personally.
Should we be emotional about the elections?
Personally, I think we absolutely should be. In fact, anyone who is not emotional about the election has to be someone, either you are so big that the outcome of the election doesn't affect you, that governance doesn't affect you in any way, which is very, very rare, because directly or indirectly, governance will affect everyone. But for people like us who are, at least, especially for me, working in this space where we are trying to promote good governance, advocacy, and all those things. We gave in our best to make sure that at least the process was nice and that the outcome of the election was a truly democratic process. So for it to turn out the way it did, it was disappointing. And it's normal for you to invest so much energy, so much effort into something, and then when it goes haywire, you are in the right to feel emotional. So personally, that's how I feel about it.
Well, I feel personally, I was really, really emotional about this election, because coming from the point where you know that you've been wronged in so many ways, nothing is working out in the country. Where you're living, you are not seeing 24 hours electricity. You cannot even see 1 hour at a stretch. You are seeing so many things going wrong, and you really put hope to an election, knowing that okay, everything is being put in place. We know that this beaver is going to cut down some things. There won't be vote buying. There won't be this. It's going to be stressful.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everything you thought that will not happen is just playing as if it's a card game. It's just playing in front of you, like.
True, I get that, and I guess elections are important to me, so I take it personal. And like you said, because that's the process we get our leaders from, and that's the process we get our representatives. Because beyond just the office of the president, we have governors, we have National Assembly members, State Assembly members, and subsequently we will be having like local elections too. So it's an important part of the process. And I've been thinking around elections, because after these elections, I went online. Some people were like, they will never vote again. Some people were breaking their permanent voters card. I said, see wahala.
It's painful.
It's painful now, but guys, if you go to ATM to withdraw money and money doesn't come out, will you break your ATM card?
No, because the ATM will not swallow my card and cut my card, or do, like, at least for the ATM, I'm see.
It was just like to withdraw money subsequently.
It's just like you beat a child and tell the child not to cry. That was how.
So, but the child will cry after the child finished crying. The child will continue living now, and tomorrow again they may still beat the child. For me, I just feel like it's good to be emotional, but maybe positive anger.
Do you have
constructive anger in the way that I'm angry, but I'm inspired with this anger to come out next time and show them.
No, but what else are you showing them when they've already showed you?
My dear, do you give up after one fight? Is it?
So no, I don't encourage the people who are giving up. Personally, for a few days after the election, or I don't know if it's after the election or after the declaration, that was my own problem.
I think it was after declaration.
No,
but I was seeing your tweet.
Mine was after the election during the counting.
Yeah.
The results.
So
that was when.
Do you know? For me, during the counting, I was having hope. I had hope.
Yeah.
I was praying that something will
happen. God, I beg
now.
Until one state just decided to twist the whole thing. I don't want to mention the state.
I had hope until the midnight announcement.
Ew.
And I woke up and it was very heartbreaking.
So maybe the next thing we should talk about is, should we continue with the elections?
Well, yeah, because how else are we going to have our leaders?
At least you still believe we should continue.
For sure, we should continue.
My dear, you need to sip to that.
I still have anger in me.
You still have anger in that. I'm talking about positive anger here. Anger that will push us to action, Because I'm also thinking that perhaps this is a learning experience for us. We've tried this. Yeah. We've learned. We have 4 years to plan. Because, guys, politicians don't plan a week to the elections. The political class planned for one election after the end of one. So as this one has ended, they've started planning for the next elections. And I think it's not just in Nigeria, within the continent, that's how politicians plan. Not just generally in democracies, that's how politicians plan. So we still believe elections are important.
Yeah.
Elections are important.
Yeah.
Okay. So if elections are important, what can we do differently? I'm just thinking, because we still have a lot of people who are angry, but is there something we can plan for? To say we want to try this next time.
I don't know. Before we even get to the next time, I think at the interim there are so many things that I feel that we should do. For the government we currently have, there is a need to punish offenders
Yes.
All the people who were in the wrong in this election need to be held accountable. So when these people are punished, at least going forward to the next election, there is much more caution. So whoever is planning any wrongdoings, whoever is planning any foul play, will know that if truly the government believes that there was no foul play and that the elections were prim and proper, then they should hold accountable the people who were in the wrong, punish them, and then when we get to the next election, at least we know that nobody's planning any foul play, and then things can play out normal.
People will always plan foul play. However, I like the part around punishing. No, I do believe there were thugs. There were people who disrupted the process. There were people in the Electoral Commission that were complicit.
Yes.
That everyone should be held accountable, whether in government or those who were out of government. As long as you were among those who manipulated the process or tried to breach rules and procedures, they should be held accountable. That way, it also signals that...
Including politicians.
Yes, including political class.
Including our security operatives.
Yes.
Because they are the lead people that even started the violence, if I'm to say.
And there are videos of security operatives standing there and ballot boxes
just
are
keeping
being snapped.
quiet.
There's violence and you're not doing anything.
Standing dead thing has been happening, no? Because I'm actually worried a bit about our security.
So when they should stop punishing them, then they'll stop standing there.
Yeah, I think we actually need more committed security operatives. Because the idea is to safeguard the process, to safeguard the people, the officials, the process. And if there are people who want to create mayhem, it's also about the intelligence in securing the process, because security agencies have power and resources to do their mapping on where are those likelihood or likely spots where there will be violence or interruption of the process, or thugs could likely.
They can't monitor it themselves. Yaga Africa has something like that. The Emre.
At this point, we need to ask the state institutions that have budgets every month to use their money and do the mapping for their right work, because that's what we want, that they will start to act. Because are we having security people for them to wear uniform and look good?
If they're not ready,
you're not there to stand and look pretty.
The private securities.
Yeah, you're there to work.
Exactly. I actually support the issue, the suggestion of private security, because I'm like, if the security, if the police don't think they are strong enough to counter touts, then maybe as you're having party agents for each polling unit, there should be private security agencies. Everybody is standing. So the way your agency is safeguarding the interest of the party, the same way their security operatives are securing the interest against violence.
True. And this just got me thinking, because we're talking around what are the lessons from the elections. Please, we've just had a lot of people fighting over these elections.
Fighting?
Yes, because if it's not identity, or if it's not ethnic, or it's religion, or it's political party support, but I know, I feel like this would be conversation for next episode, because if we want to sit down and talk about the kind of fights that have happened in these elections, people lost relationships. People lost friendships on top of these elections.
Till today, I won't lie. Till today, there are some people I don't talk to because of the elections.
My sister, where's your forgiving spirit?
No, there are people that
because it just shows the kind of person you are.
People can wish you bad based on the people they are supporting.
I'm serious.
But is there hope?
I don't know. I'm even still looking for even a tiny
so
hope.
These positives I told you now, people are not seeing it as positives. The fact that you had
it's easier said.
A party like Labour Party, for instance, could win majority votes in as high as 12 states. The first time they ran a serious election for a presidential office. I'm not saying the other time they did not run, but they were among the first 3 runners, right? I feel like that's positive. I feel like there's some hope. Why? Because there are some countries in Africa that are still struggling to have elections.
Yeah, unfortunately there is.
But after these elections, people have been talking, I don't go, na Japa time.
No, I'm sure if there's a graph.
What do you guys think about the Japa trend?
If there's a graph for Japa, from like February, it went like this. Who can afford?
How many of you are Jackpying now? Because you know, I'm looking at you people, your eyes is.
No, we are pro-democracy.
We are
pro-Nigeria, pro-Africa.
Pro-Africa.
Yeah.
Me, I'm pro-Africa. I'm pro-Nigeria.
No, we are going to make
Nigeria
work.
Make it work.
See, I don't have problem with that I want to Jackpot. However, what I always tell people is, the places you're going to, they were developed by people. Some of those systems and democracies have existed 100 years plus. That's the truth. Let us also remember that for some of those countries, some of those systems that developed, the time they were developing, the level of human rights instruments that we have did not exist. So there were several human rights abuses that went on in the process of industrialization. I don't want to talk about countries that our brothers and sisters were slaves in and they worked hard. So a lot of countries in Africa were still, most of us, independence in the 60s, ours was, think about several countries in Africa. A lot of us, our democracies are young. Nigeria's democracy is about 24 years. We have some countries that they just recovered from civil war. Sierra Leone, they were in a period of war. Liberia, we have countries that we still have people who have coups and attempted coups happening. So I still feel like Africa, a lot of us we are young democracies. And because it's young, you cannot compare, for those of you who drink, let me not say those of us. It's like whiskey. If you are drinking whiskey, you can't compare the taste of whiskey that is 10 years old or to the taste of whiskey that don't reach 30, 40. Whiskey that's stayed, they say the older the wine, when you take it, you can see that the difference is in the taste. Let me go from that one. The taste is the difference. Because the truth is, we're still learning a lot of things. Even the American, the democracy is still shaky. So if we think about the systems a lot of people are running to, they were built by people. If we all leave Nigeria, if we all leave Africa, who would then build it? Does it not, let me play devil's advocate, as they say colonials, the whites that came to colonize, they did it, they did that. Is this not somehow, are we not choosing them over us?
But notwithstanding, I get your point. People travel for different reasons.
Yeah.
There's poverty in Nigeria, we all know. And yes, all over the world, there are still people that are poor. But the one in Nigeria is...
Are we poorer than all this?
We are not poorer in Nigeria. But I get it. No.
It's Sapa.
Yes, it's serious.
Some people struggle to know. For the ones who don't know, Sapa is a special kind of brokenness. Let's not call it poverty.
So you cannot. Those people are looking for daily bread. They can do anything. They can borrow money from their friends, from banks, just to leave the country and work. And again, if you check our dollar rate and the exchange rate, you see that Nigeria is still struggling.
Naira,
So people are just living to just make ends meet.
Greener pastures, I get that.
To Jackpot is actually so expensive that for the scenario you just painted, someone who can hardly make ends meet, Jackpot is, as much as people aspire to Jackpot, just simply because they want to look for greener pastures, it's not so easy to Jackpot because it's very, very expensive. So I feel like the most saparized, the poorest of the poor people who are probably just seeing shege in the hands of the government and the country can't even afford to Jackpot. So the people who are even escaping, Jackpot is migration. So people who are even finding it possible to migrate are people who are even well-to-do. So as much as it's difficult here, the people who, not everybody who want to migrate are able to migrate. So then coming to what you said, I think people have their best interests at heart. Just because we hope that Nigeria will get better, it's not why somebody will remain in the country and keep hoping. Because now after this election, no matter the heartbreak, the emotional damage, the hangover, whatnot, it will still take another 48 years for there to be another opportunity for you to fight for democracy again. So in the interim, what will you be doing?
But why is it fighting? So in the interim, you ask me what will we be doing? Is the only president they elected? We have lawmakers elected. We have governors elected. But that's also the thing. I feel like a lot of us feel that once elections are over, the role of the citizen is over. But actually, I think it's Dr. Obi Ezekwesili say the office of the citizen is the most important office in the land. Because the truth is, after elections, the next role for us is to start to engage to demand accountability. So, who are our lawmakers in the National Assembly, the Senate, the House of Reps? Who are they at the state level, the subnational level? Who are the governors? So, because most of we focus on the president, we forget that everybody has a role to play.
But we can engage those people from online.
Okay. So let me just say, see, like I said, for those who want to migrate to Japan, I don't have a problem with that. But I feel like we also need to start having honest conversations. I feel like for things to work, we all need to really sit back and make it to work. And maybe later I'll talk a bit about what kind of work we'll be doing in Africa. But please, let's be a bit more objective in this whole Japan conversation. But anyways, we don't talk elections since. And I know that, and we talked about Nigeria. Who else is voting in Africa? You know, this month of June. Yeah.
Sierra Leone,
Our Salon brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to our Salon brothers and sisters.
Shout out.
Woo! Should we cheers to that?
Cheers to Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
Good luck in your election.
Good luck in your elections, because we hope it to be better. You know, we say Nigeria is big brother Africa. Please, the things that did not work in Nigeria, don't copy it. But young people in Sierra Leone, please turn out. Yeah, Sierra Leone is in West Africa. I will talk a bit about Sierra Leone after the elections. Let's not shake tables now. Let's wait after. I know Guinea-Bissau just finished elections, like more parliamentary elections. Guinea-Bissau is also in West Africa, but interestingly, they speak Portuguese as official language. What I want to learn for Sierra Leone is their Creole. It sounds like our pidgin, but it's a bit.
I saw a video of someone speaking Creole. What's difficult to understand?
I know. When last time I was there, I was trying to speak it, but I was just mixing our pidgin to balance.
What did they say?
Anyways, ladies, it's been an interesting conversation. Wow. And I would say that first, it's not just us. We have an amazing crew to shout out to. Okay, I'll start with DJ Drexx. Shout out to DJ Drexx, our producer.
Yeah. There's also Hamilton, our social media strategist, director. Yeah. And we have Ayomide. Social media manager. And our content curator.
Yeah. Then we have Fredcoker.
Yes, so our cinematographer.
Yeah.
That's what they call that word, Abby.
Cinematographer.
Shout out to Fredcoker.
Yeah.
And
Ifeanyi
Mkpume. He's our floor manager, but he's also of the Davis Media House. Yes. And we have people like Samuel Folorusho, we have Steven, Momoh. They help us in design all the beautiful graphics we have. I think it's just important to recognize that the Unamplified podcast brings light to everyone and every issue we want to talk about. So we're all here to shine. Because when we shine bright, we give people the opportunity to also shine. And please let's say hi to our audience.
Hi.
Hello, the amazing, our diverse, dynamic audience. It's been interesting having this wonderful conversation with you. Do you want to say anything today?
Thank you for listening to us and watching our amazing show. And continue watching, because we have more to give to you guys.
Yeah. For us, the Unamplified podcast is honestly simple, diverse, open conversations from our very comfy couch. We're having that conversation, but we invite you, and with a glass of wine, because we like to drink a bit. They say red wine is good for the heart, and we are all here to say we heart you.
I agree.
Our next episode, please follow us on our social media platforms, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. I hope people still use Facebook. TikTok. I'm here to learn this TikTok, but we're there. And on our YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, follow, share, and keep a date with us. Every Wednesday, we bring you all the beautiful conversation on the Unamplified podcast. When you're on, you're amplified. Thank you.